Okay, hi everybody. Are we ready for our class? Chapter 3, Part 2. So I just want to review what we said the last week. Chapter 3 said there's 5 concepts that will make you have trust in God. Once you understand these concepts well, you will have trust in God. We spoke the difference between faith and trust. That faith is something you understand in your mind, but you don't bring it down to your emotion. It's not real to you. That means you can have faith and still be worried and afraid and nervous about the next day. But when you have trust in God, you have no worries. Your heart is calm. Your life is calm. You know that God will provide for you, that God will be there for you, that you're not alone. So that's the difference between trust and faith. And now chapter 3, the first concept that he brings, he said, these 7 qualities that I mentioned in chapter 2, that's the first concept that you have to understand well. And he repeats, and he goes and he actually repeats them in a different order. Why does he repeat it in a different order?
So that we bring it to our emotions.
Exactly, to ensure that they are real for us, that we're just not memorizing them. 1 is this, 2 is that. No, it's in a different order, and not only it's in a different order, it's elaborated differently so that we can really bring it down to our emotion and make sure that this is something that we live with. So I'm going to go inside. We're going to read inside. Tu as ton livre, page 63, 63.
Just to recap, the first one was compassion.
Okay, you want to recap? Yes, go. Let's recap.
The first one was compassion. The second one was shyness.
Was 1 minute. The second one was
7 qualities.
the qualities that we spoke about. So the first concept is that God has compassion, right?
He knows what's good for you. Number 2, you want me to go?
No, she goes. What did you say? Number 2 is what?
Shyness?
No. Number 2, he knows what is good for you.
He knows what's good for you. Everything he does is even the hidden.
Okay, I have that sentence. Okay.
Number 3.
What's not?
Third one, God decides everything for you.
No.
The Creator is stronger than any stronger human being.
He's not influenced by anyone. He's the strongest, which is something very important when you trust. Someone could be trusting, but if they're not strong, if they don't have a strong opinion, if they're scared of peer pressure and outer influences, they can't fight for you or protect you. So God is strong. That's the third one. And the fourth, what did you write for the fourth?
God is mindful of the person's needs.
Exactly. Yeah. He never forgets any needs. He knows all your needs to every details. Never underestimate that small details. God doesn't care. Even the smallest details. And that's something that Chabad Hasidut brought that was different than all the other studies. People thought, God cares about us. God protects us. God is there for us. But he doesn't care about the little details in our life. He's not there in the small details. They thought it was disrespectful to think that God cares about the small details. He's so big and so incredible. Why would you bring him into the small details of your life? But no, God cares about even the smallest details. Even if your nail's chipped and you're not happy with the color of these details, God cares about, and he knows it's important, and you should turn to him when you need something, even to the smallest details. So we're now up to the 5th. What is the 5th one? V'hachamishi she'en beyad echad me'aberuim leolil et nafsho ve'lo la'azika ve'lo le'zulato ki im birshut haborei yitparech. The 5th quality, no creation has the power to help himself or harm himself, or to help or harm another person without the permission of the Creator. May he be blessed. This I thought was a little hard. It says that no one has the power to harm you or to give you something or to help you without the permission of God.
It says more. It says the power to help himself.
Yes.
So it means we cannot help ourselves.
Yes. Here, a tissue. Exactly. To help himself or to have someone that comes and help you. So anything negative that happens in your life or anything positive that comes in your life, anything that you do to help yourself only comes with the permission of God.
The validation?
The permission of God. There's a story, there's a midrash actually, of a king that enters a country accompanied by a duke, a minister, and a governor. And the country people, they see the king, they see the governor, they see the duke, they see the minister, and one says, you know, the duke is going to be the one who's my leader. I'm going to turn to the duke for everything I need. And then another person says, no, I'm going to turn to the governor for everything I need. And a third one says, I'm going to turn to the minister for everything I need. He's going to be my patron. Finally, there's one who's much more clever than all of them, and he says, I'm going to turn to the king. In the end, who tells them what to do? The duke, the governor, the minister? Who gives them permission to act upon different things? It's the king. So I'm going to take the king as my patron. I'm not going to go through their ministers, their governor, or their dukes. I will go directly to the king. And that is the same in our life. There are different places that provide for us, right? The sun gives us warmth. The money gives us a certain financial security. Food gives us, earth gives us food, fruits and vegetable. Different things in life where we turn to when we need different things. So either there's some people that serve and make those things. Some people serve the sun, right? They make the sun their god because they see the sun brings warmth, brings light, brings nutrients to the plants. Thanks to the sun, the plants grows. And so they'll serve that. Or some people will serve, even if they're not actually serving, but they will rely on different forces in the world that brings them things, and they will rely on those and in quote unquote serve them. It's avodah zarah for sure. But if that person is smart, they realize that who really tells those things to do what it needs to do to you, who really gives the power to the sun to shine and heat us and to give light and to grow the plants, who really makes sure that the money is running a certain way so that everybody can have a certain amount of money. Who runs all those things?
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad, God. So God is the one who decides everything, the good and the bad, which is, I thought was a little bit hard. Oh wait, Cheryl just came.
Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hey, hi.
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 Welcome.
You find something in the snow that you were looking for?
My garbage bin was buried under the snow, and today is collection, so I had to dig it out.
So,
Girl.
Again, I thought it was a little hard because sometimes there's negative things that happen to us in life, and we have to know that those things also come from God, that God didn't give, that they weren't able to act a certain way unless they had permission from God.
Wow.
That's a little tough.
It is a little tough. It said that God gave permission to Pharaoh to enslave the Jews, but that Pharaoh made it worse, and that's why he was punished. Because if he didn't choose, because God told him to enslave the Jews, right? Why was he punished in the end? Why were the Egyptians? They were appointed because they made it worse. They took advantage of their position and made the situation much worse than what they were supposed to. So that is something to take in and sink in, let it sink in, let you know that a person does not act without permission from the Creator. כי העבד כשיהיה לו יותר מאדון אחד ויהיה כל אחד מהם יכול. For when a servant has more than one master, and each one is able to help him, it makes sense for the servant to rely solely on one of his masters, because he expects to be helped by each of them. right? So when someone has many masters, he's not going to rely on one master because he expects something from all of them. If in fact one of them, as a result of his greatness, is more capable than the others to help him, then the servant's reliance on that master will be stronger in accordance with his ability to help him, despite the fact that he relies on the other masters as well. But if one of the masters that he serves is more reliable, he sees how great he is and how much he's giving him, then he's going to rely more on that. So naturally, we have different things we rely on. It's a natural instinct that the human being have, is that we rely on different things to provide for us. But when we are able to see that one of them is greater than all of that, not only is greater than all of them, is giving permission to all the other masters, all the other things that we are dependent on to be able to get to us, then we'll rely fully on that one.
It can be animals also. Let's say un ours, il attaque un être humain. It's God's permission.
Everything from God, for sure. C'est rassurant? C'est pas rassurant, it's scary. But if you trust in God normally, like there's a story. Yeah. There's a story of I just want to think of the story. Because you said animals attack, right?
Oui.
So there's a story of a big tzaddik.
Ça m'a fait penser à une de tes...
That's Yona.
Un kayakiste, non, récemment, un kayakiste, il s'est fait avaler par une baleine et recraché par la baleine, et son père, il filmait tout ça. Like, it's huge. Là, moi, je me suis dit, mais c'est pas un miracle, c'est une démonstration d'Hachem qui ouvre la bouche et la ferme quand il veut, in a way.
Yeah, no, for sure, everything comes from God.
Tu te retrouves dans la gueule de la baleine et tu la recraches.
Elle ne peut pas avaler.
Oui, it doesn't make sense. La baleine, elle a...
Non, c'est arrivé, je l'ai vu de mon propre yeux, tu l'as vu aussi, ça fait les nouvelles et tout. So, tu es rentré dans la bouche de la baleine et il l'a recraché. Et ça m'a fait penser à une histoire que tu nous as racontée.
Yona, il a avalé.
Yeah, but it happened last week. It was really crazy.
Yeah, so...
Alors, l'histoire que tu veux raconter?
What was I... Oh, there was a tzaddik once who was somehow left in the desert because he was with a caravan and he wanted to stop for Shabbos, and the caravan, they were Arabs, they didn't want to stop for Shabbos, so they left him behind. And it's dangerous, the desert, just dangerous animals. And what happened, there's a lion that came and protected him the whole Shabbat, and he was able to do, and after Shabbat was over, he went onto the lion and he brought him to his destination. Why am I saying that? Yes, God will decide if something will harm a person or not harm a person. All the good, it's all directed by God. But just know, someone who has bitachon, who has trust in God, animals don't attack you, will not harm you if you have trust in God. And there's many stories of tzaddikim who were put in front of wild animals and not harmed because of their bitachon in Hashem. So yes. So, ואם לא יוכל להועילו להזיקו, כי אם אחד מהם בלבד על כחו יפתח עליו לבדו, מפני שאינו מקו ותועלת מזולתו. If only one of them is able to help him or cause him harm, he will be forced to rely on him alone, because he does not expect to be helped by anyone other than him. וכן, כשירגיש האדם שלא אילנו ולא יזיקנו אחד מהנבראים, אלא ברשות הבורא יתברך, ישוב ליבו מיראתם ותקווסם, ויבטח על הבורא לבדו, כמו שנאמר, אל תבטחו בנדיבים בבן אדם שאינו תשועה. Similarly, when a person feels that no creation can either help him or harm him without the permission of the Creator, may he be blessed, this will cause him to cease being afraid of other people causing him harm. So it's interesting. So you said it's not so reassuring, but if you have bitachon that no creation, animals or humans or Hamas, which is a different category, worse than animals. Animals are not that bad. No one will cause him harm unless God permits it. This should give you a certain sense of peace.
It doesn't to me.
No.
I know it doesn't, but it should.
It doesn't make sense.
Sorry.
It
Why
should.
let that happen to every...
Instead, he will rely solely on the Creator, as it says, "Do not trust in princes in the Son of Man who has no salvation." So, the first part of the verse over here relies on the reliance of. So either you can rely on people.
Ou la magie noire, tu sais, dans les pays
I feel it's
occidentaux.
because there's a purpose for everything or a lesson.
Yeah, but this is what you have to understand.
Yeah.
The fact that something bad or good happens to you is in God's hand. So either you are afraid and you don't rely on God and you don't have that bitachon Hashem, you're afraid of the human being. But if even the bad thing, then this is the hard part. Even the bad thing, if you know that it comes from Hashem, in a way it kind of makes it easier to digest than if you think that this is the person who did it.
No, I prefer to know it's the person, because God for us is only pity and compassion and greatness. And why you would want to harm us? Quand je pense Josh, c'est donc pourquoi il a donné la permission que ça lui arrive, you know? Des exemples très cons de la vie quotidienne. Why would it happen?
So that we don't have an answer.
Yeah.
That we don't have an answer, but we have to
No.
know that instead of being upset at the person, we can turn our anger and our upsetness to God, because that's where it's coming from. It doesn't mean we should accept it, but we should know where it's coming from. That no one has permission to do anything to you, whether good or bad, unless it comes from God.
Can we be angry at God?
Yes, you
Moi, je
could,
savais
for
pas
sure.
aussi qu'on pouvait. Sérieux, pour moi, c'est un manque de respect d'être angry.
No, you are allowed to be upset if something, it's very upsetting what's happening in Israel, and we are allowed to be upset. The Rebbe said you have to
What?
say, Ad matai, until when, God, enough. Enough is enough. So we don't know that it's really good. We can't see it, but everything that comes from God is good. But it's not over here, that's not what it's talking about. It says that we have to know that we have to put our trust not in people that are important, and even now in our situations
With
now we can
Trump.
turn to, like, people are
Trump,
crazy
right.
about Trump, and like they
Yeah,
think he's Mashiach, but he's just a messenger of God, and we don't have to put our trust in him. Instead, look at it, he's a messenger from God. What? Someone this Shabbat said he's Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's just a messenger. You don't put your trust in him, whether he's doing a lot of good or not. He is just a messenger from God. And it's all about the mind shift. You shift your mind instead of saying, wow, this guy is amazing. Yeah, if you don't believe in God, you believe that this guy is Mashiach. But if you believe in God, you're like, thank God Hashem sent this person right now.
So even
'cause
Mashiach is going to be the messenger.
even Mashiach,
C'est ça.
even
On doit
everyone
pas
is.
idéaliser personne
Exactly.
d'autre, même pas Mashiach.
Even when a person is helped by someone else, that helper is merely a messenger of God
C'est ça.
who orchestrated that he be the one to help the person in need. This is what the verse means when it says, who has no salvation. The salvation is not attributed to him, but to God. In order for bitachon to be strong, the person must realize that no one other than God has any power over him.
It explains that sometimes you have like seasonal people in your life, you know?
Exactly. Just know the people who are supposed to be there in your life then are supposed to be, and when they leave, that means that's it. Their mission is over. It happens all the time.
You're lasting too long, my friend, Sterna.
Well, some people, you want me to leave?
I'm not getting rid of you, Dorit.
So,
12 years and counting. C'est ma référence, c'est Josh.
You can stop counting. It's forever.
so the fifth one again is that everything bad or good is only with the permission of God. Okay, let's go to the sixth. והשישי, שידע רב טוב האלוקים על האדם ומה שהתחיל אותו בו מרוב החסד והטובה מבלי שיהיה ראוי אצלו לכך ולא לצורך שיהיה אליו אך נדבה וטובה וחסד כאשר בהראינו בשאר הבחינה מן הספר הזה, וכמו שאמר דוד עליו השלום, רבות עשית אתה השם אלוקיי, נפלאותיך ומחשבותיך אלינו, אין ארוך אליך אגידה ואדבר עצמו מספר. The sixth one, and he says the sixth one, he says the word sheyeda. Anybody, when you hear that word sheyeda,
C'est quoi?
do you hear any other words that are familiar from Tanya?
Sheyeda. Sheyeda.
Or yeda, yeda. It comes from the same root word of da'at.
Ah, okay.
Da'at. You remember what we learned, and Rabbi Z explained it to us this Shabbat. There's chokhmah, bina, right? There's the first thought, and then bina is where that thought is expanded and understood, and finally da'at. Da'at is when you can bring those thoughts and bring it down. It's the neck. You can bring it down to the heart, to the emotions. So again, he's repeating here that these things that you learn, in order for you to have real bitachon, it's not enough to keep it in the brain up here. You really have to bring it down to your heart. So sheyeda, the sixth one, you have to know the great kindness that God bestows on people and how he began to be so kind and good at the beginning of a person's formation in the womb of his mother. So God's kindness, this one is the sixth quality, is really the seventh. The seventh quality talks about God's kindness, how generous he is. But we have to know from the beginning of a person's formation in the womb, from when a person is the little fetus is growing in the womb, already God is providing for him. God is caring for him. God is giving him everything he needs for him to grow without his being deserving of it. He doesn't need to deserve it. And without God needing him. God doesn't need him. God doesn't need him. This little fetus is not deserving. I mean, it's not bad. It's innocent, but it didn't do anything special in this world. It didn't have an impact in this world for it to be deserving. Rather, it is out of his generosity, goodness, and kindness that he does so, as explained in the Gate of Examination, Shaar Habitachon, which is in this book. And as King David of blessed memory said, "You have done great things, you, O Lord, my God. Your wonders and your thoughts are for us. There is none to equal you. Were I to tell and speak of your wonders, they would be too many to tell."
So every quality is justified by Pesukim.
Every quality.
But you didn't mention number 5, and which one is
We
it?
did.
Well,
In number
sorry,
5,
I missed it.
it's the Tehillim that says,
Okay.
Al tiftechum b'nivim beven adam she'en lo teshua. Do not trust in princes. In princes. Princes is people that lead the countries. In the Son of Man who has not salvation. So don't trust princes, people of high stature, governments, governors, mayors. Don't trust in them. Don't put your trust in them. They are all messengers of God. They're not going to save you.
How do you write princes? Sorry.
Princes. Princes. Yeah, like a prince.
Ah, okay.
Like a prince.
appelle ça des
Princes
princes.
in
Comme une discussion.
D'accord. Ouais, c'est ça. Merci.
Okay, so in this one, so what's the sixth one talking
Yeah,
about?
the sixth
You remember we spoke about the sixth one was really the seventh in
Right.
chapter 2. And it was to end off that after all the good qualities, if someone's not generous in their kindness, you can't trust them. If someone says they did everything the contract did, right? Like Dorit, she bought her plane ticket, right?
Oh my God.
According to the contract, they don't need to pay you back.
No.
But if they're generous and
They
they
will.
give back the money,
With God's
then
permission.
then Dorit will know this is a company that I can trust.
Mhm.
Because to trust is not enough only to keep your words.
That's exactly what I'm going to tell
It's
them.
not
You're
a-
a company I will trust in the future. If you
It's
don't
not
understand me.
it's
Wow,
not
that's
enough to
amazing.
keep to your words. It's to be generous,
To give
even
more.
more. And that is what's the only person, the only being or higher being is God, who has this quality of generous, who since you come into this world, from the minute you come into this world, he makes sure that you're okay when you're in the most vulnerable state. I'm thinking of all these little fetuses that are in the wombs that can be operated and changed, just protected, like that are so sensitive. that sometimes, unfortunately, are
miscarried
or aborted. Yes, but again, God is there protecting them and is the one who decides what's going to happen to them.
And He put in your road some messengers. That's so much.
Yes,
true.
and
Talking about fetuses and stuff like that, I remember someone saying how the reason we have this little thing here is when we come out of our mom's womb, that God touches us so we could forget everything.
So basically, in the womb, you learn, the baby, a fetus learns the Torah, and when it leaves, an angel taps it over here, and they forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, again, since it's fetus and during the whole life, God is generous in goodness and kindness, and again, you don't have to be good to be deserving. This is very important. Like a fetus, he's not deserving of anything. He didn't do anything. But again, if the fetus is being treated with so much with generosity, how much more so are human beings that even who do bad things will still be taken care of and will still get Hashem's generosity.
Il n'y a pas le concept de l'âme, même si c'est un fœtus, elle s'est réincarnée, so il a quand même peut-être fait dans le futur.
No, a fetus is new. It's not.
New? It's not a new neshama.
Well, even if it's a gilgul, I'm saying in this world, you're not gonna be. You're not gonna be récompensé for your other past life. It's this world that's present. You're gonna be affected by it in certain ways, but your actions, what is the present? It's not the past. So this verse is quoted here as a proof that all the actions of God are for us purely for our benefit. Okay, not for God's benefit. Really, God is there. He has abundance of love that He wants to give every single Jewish person, and we just have to believe it. We have to tap into it.
The benefit is what? To do your mission, accomplish mission?
No, for now we're talking about God's benefit is God's kindness.
But why? Like that?
Just like that.
Kind,
just because He
want to bring us to know and accomplish
No,
our
for
mission?
now He just wants to take care of us and be generous with us for no reason. He doesn't need to have, it's really just purely for our benefit.
Okay.
Without His being deserving it, at the time when the person is in his mother's womb, he has not yet performed any mitzvot on account of which he would be deserving of reward.
C'est fou si on commence à vouloir ressembler à Hachem comme ça et se dire il faudrait qu'on soit généreux comme ça, sans raison, juste pour le bien-être de la petite, de la personne.
Okay, so did we understand the sixth quality?
Yeah.
God's generosity, kindness. And again, I really believe, okay, this is my thought because I'm thinking of what we were just reading, how God controls the good and bad, how God is generous and kind. And then you see such bad things happen to people, especially right now. And you wonder and you question. And I do believe that, unfortunately, when people don't understand God's kindness and don't see it and don't believe it and rely on other things, it could have a negative effect. And it's sad to I'm not blaming it. I'm not blaming it. I'm not justifying.
You're still saying
telling
what
my
my
sister,
father
you know,
says.
it's really, we could see it as a terrible thing.
No, ça c'est, j'aurais pas
When you
dit
look
ça.
at it
Wait.
from an outsider-
No, I didn't say that. Okay, wait. Doris, go and say.
Mazal. When you look at it from a different point of view, and you see what's happening in the world, I know that one thing that God says supposedly is that Mashiach is going to come when every Jew in the world at least does one Shabbat close enough, right? If I'm not mistaken. So I think that because of this horrific situation, it has brought a lot of different Jews from everywhere to come out, I think, you know, that they're not up to what the circumstances. Who knows God's plan from there, you know?
Right.
Let's hope for murders, but I think that I got it from a different perspective.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Doris. No, I want to repeat what I said. I don't think that those people, they were punished because of their action. I think as as a nation, we are responsible for every action, everything that happens. So as a nation, maybe we didn't believe enough that God is kind to us. We didn't believe that God is protecting us. We relied on other things, not those people specifically.
No,
they weren't punished. It just happened.
So
exactly, it just happened.
But
that
still, it's a very particular group that they were.
I still don't think that's why they were punished.
I'm not saying he's right or not, but it's not a punishment. It's celebrating something else than God. It happened on what you call it, Simchat Torah. It happened on Friday night and Saturday morning. So a lot of, let's say.
And it happened also in cities where people were religious and they came to their Shabbat homes and they attacked religious people. Yes, in the dans les kibbutz there was religious, so it doesn't really have to do with religious or not religious.
Du 7 octobre,
yeah.
c'est allé aussi
Non, le 7 octobre they came also au kibbutz où il y avait des gens religieux. So it has nothing to do with religious or not religious. But as a nation, something was missing, and definitely the fighting. The fighting is known that when there's a division that affects. So it's that protection that we didn't, as a nation. Unfortunately, they were the victims, but we're as responsible. We shouldn't say, no, they are responsible, they did. No, we're all responsible.
Sure.
But we have to remember that God is the one who's behind everything. And maybe that was a strong message. You see people change since October 7. Unfortunately, we needed something big, une grande claque, but it really shook people up. Yes. Are you ready for the 7th? Okay, the 7th is interesting.
That's the last one?
The 7th quality, yes. והשביעי שיסברר אצלו כי יש לכל ההוויות שבעולם הזה מעצם ומקחה גבול ידוע ולא יוסיף ולא יגרע על מה שגזר הבורא יסברך בכמותו ואיכותו וזמנו ומקומו. אין מרבה למה שגזר במעוטו ולא ממעט ממה שגזר ברבותו ולא מאחר למה שגזר להקדימו ולא מקדים למה שגזר לאחרו. The 7th quality, it should be clear to the person that all things in existence in this world, both those that are essential, referring to the being and objects themselves that were brought into creation, and those that are incidental, referring to the events that happen to those objects and beings, have a clear and defined limit. It is impossible to add or subtract from the limit that God, may he be blessed, has decreed. A person cannot change an object's quantity, quality, time, or place. He cannot increase that which was decreed to be few, nor can he decrease that which was decreed to be many. Similarly, a person will not be able to delay something that has been decreed to be early, nor is he able to hasten something that has been decreed to be delayed. Did you understand what I said? The 7th is that no one can change quantity and quality. No one can change events and objects that are supposed to be in your life. Nobody can decide if you're going to have more money or less. No one can decide when you're meant to live and when you're meant to die. Nobody can decide everything was decreed by the creation of the world. When God created the world, everything from the beginning of time was decreed already. Exactly how much money that person's going to be, exactly who that person's going to be married to, exactly what kids, how many kids, what lifestyle, what place he's going to live. Everything was decreed already.
We still have le choix.
So where is our choice? Where is the freedom of choice? It says Hakol mishamayim chutz meirat shamayim. Everything comes from heaven except from fear of God or of heaven.
We actually think we choose things.
No, we have the power to choose all the time. C'est le libre arbitre, c'est la base de la Torah.
No. The only libre arbitre, no, the Torah says the only freedom of choices if you want to do Torah or mitzvot. That's the only choice you have.
But we saw it even in Tanya, that we always have le choix le libre arbitre.
No, but the seul libre arbitre in Tanya says is if you want to do Torah and mitzvot. That's the only choice you have.
Sure,
yes, everything else in your
So-
life, you can't choose. You can't change. You can't. It was decreed already before you were born even.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is freedom of choice according to Tanya and Torah. Is the only thing you can choose is if you want to be a good person. If you're gonna, it's your attitude. Are you
But
gonna
even
be
that, no?
what?
Even that, God created you.
No, but you can choose. Are you gonna want to be doing good actions or not? Are you gonna want to have a good attitude of of a certain situation? That's the only thing you can choose. Is really, are you gonna be connected to God? It doesn't say, it's not Torah and Mitzvot. It's more than that. It's Yirat Shamayim. Are you gonna have everything with God in mind, connected to God? Is your choice when you do an action gonna be connected to God and to a higher purpose, or are you just doing things out of your instincts? That's the only
Alors,
choice that
celui qui
exists in
décide
Torah.
de se suicider, c'est quoi? C'était pas
It's-
son libre arbitre?
It wasn't. It
Ou celui
wasn't.
qui décide de mourir, comme la vieille personne, ton mari
But
est allé...
It wasn't his choice. He was supposed to. No,
c'est
but
contre la Torah.
so it is. His choice was to do it the wrong way. He was supposed to pass away that day, whether he liked it or not. But he chose to do
So
it
he
something.
chose.
No, he chose to do something against the Torah. To do.
Alors, il a quand même choisi.
But the only thing that he chose was that he chose how to do it against the Torah, but
So you
he
can
didn't choose
how,
to pass
at least
away.
the how you can choose it?
I don't know. It's a little bit complicated what you're saying, but again, it wasn't really his choice. It wasn't really his choice. But the fact that he committed suicide, that means his mind wasn't connected with the Torah, which led it to happen that way. Do you understand?
He didn't believe that he didn't have freedom of choice.
Exactly.
He thought he did.
He thought he had. He thought he
I
chose.
thought he had, bah oui. Je sais
People
pas.
think the thing is, God created us in a way that we feel free to choose what we want in life. But when you think about it, sometimes I make choices in my life, and then later I think, I'm like, if I knew this and that, I would not have chosen what I chose today. Or I had no idea what I was choosing, and look, I'm so happy with the outcome. You don't really know what you're choosing when you make that choice.
But you make the decision. To
It
go
doesn't matter.
right
You
or
make the
wrong.
decision because that's part of life. That's how God created us, to make those decisions. But is that those decisions really our choices? No, they're not our choices. They were influenced by the way we were educated, by the way we are, the people we're surrounded. They're influenced by many things. So it's not really our freedom of choice. The only choice we have is if you want to keep Torah and Mitzvot, if you want to believe in God, if you want to be connected to God, that's the only thing we have. So again, that person, he thinks he made that choice of killing himself. That was leading to that with his character, with his lifestyle. It was leading to that. It wasn't really his choice. But if he was connected to God and he believed in God, he would have not made that choice. Do you understand?
Ça, c'est sûr, ouais.
But the circumstances would happen anyway.
Something
Because
interesting.
it's already decided.
Yeah. The seventh, it says the seventh quality is the fifth quality mentioned in chapter 2. So I want to go back to chapter 2 and see what's it says that the seventh quality is the fifth. The chamishi, the fifth factor, the person being trusted is the only one who has taken care of him from the beginning of the existence until his infancy, childhood, young adulthood, old age, until the end of his days. So it's very interesting that over here, when he talks about the seventh, which is really the fifth, they're discussed in very different ways. In the chapter 2, it says when that a person relies on God to support him from the beginning of his days till the end of his day. That all this surely to strengthen trust in his that it basically over here, the seventh, it says that that a person can't add or can't change our events in life. You can't change what you get. You can't change what you have. And in chapter 2, the fifth one, it says that God is the only one who takes care of him, exclusive care from the beginning till the end. So how are they connected?
Je comprends pas.
Est-ce que tu as compris
Oui, je comprends ce que tu veux dire, mais je comprends pas
freedom
how
of choice.
What?
Neither of them have freedom of choice.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one, that he doesn't have freedom of choice, right? That he God is, but it's also it's in a way it's explaining what does it mean when it says that God takes care of him from the beginning of time till the end of time. That God provided for him everything, decreed everything for him from before creation. But before he was born, it was already destined this person is going to have so much. So that's how it's explaining, it's expanding, because again in chapter 3 he wants us to live with it, to really understand it, to feel it. So now he's expanding on what it means when he says that God takes care of him from the beginning of times until the end of time. From the moment he's in his womb until the day he passes away, God takes care of him, because God decreed everything. God knows exactly how much he's going to have, who he's going to marry, how many kids he's going to have, where he's going to live, what country, how many times he's going to move.
Jew live by that already, though?
What do you mean?
Like, that's how, isn't that how I understand that Tanya explains this, but this is how, like, we're born to know this, that we don't know the next second what happens. But
yeah, we're born, but again, we have to really delve into it and believe it. There's a story, listen to this interesting story. There's a story of a boat, of a ship that was supposed to go into the ocean, and at the last minute before it was gonna go on its voyage, the ruler of the city accused the captain of something, and it couldn't go, so it had to wait a few days, and finally the captain cleared what was supposed to happen, and he was able to go, to take his boat and go on wherever he was supposed to go. Meanwhile, while he was waiting, while the ruler had accused him, there was the pirates that created havoc, that made a mess in the ocean. They were attacking every boat. Everyone was coming back. They're like, be careful, there's pirates in the ocean. They're attacking every boat. So when this boat is finally ready to go, they heard about the pirates and they were scared. So they decided to take a different route. They take a different route that was a little bit more dangerous, and the boat crashes and everyone drowns and the boat sinks. And there was a bunch of things on the boat. One of the things was a chest of gold, happened to float away and go on the shore. Meanwhile, in a different country, there's a good person, a righteous man, who was accused falsely by the ruler. And he had to run away because it wasn't true, and he didn't want to be put in jail for no reason. So he runs right away. The first place he runs is to the water to take a boat. And he happens to come at that beach where the treasure was laying, and he found the box, and he was able to get this treasure that sustained him for the rest of his life, that made him wealthy for the rest of his life. What's the story? If someone hears the story, they might think, look, what a coincidence. Hashem planned something for this man, and out of coincidence, he got a treasure and now he's rich. It's not true that Hashem plans everything. Things can change. Sometimes people can win the lottery. A few days ago, I saw a video of, I don't know if you guys know Mr. Beast. He does crazy games and so there was a Jewish man who he's interviewed right before that. He said, yeah, I pray to God every day. I say Shema Yisrael. And right after he opened one of the boxes, he won $10 million. So someone might say, whoa, that guy, Hashem didn't plan this. He won $10 million. But just know that every event in this story of the boat, the fact that this man was accused, the captain was accused, was in order to delay the boat from going. And then the fact that the pirates created havoc was for the boat to take a different route in order for the treasure to get to this guy. This treasure was meant to go to this guy. So when things happen in our life that come unexpected, just know that Hashem is in every single details of our life, even things that are not expected. And things can happen that are out of nowhere.
Great things
can happen.
From very hard situations, I heard.
Exactly. And this man, he was accused falsely. He would not have run away to the sea. So the fact that the leader accused him falsely was just so he can get to that treasure. Everything that happened in this story was just for this man to get this treasure, because this is what he was deserving. This belonged to him, really. From beginning of creation, God had decreed that this belonged to him. So this message is to know that God watches over us from the beginning, from the womb till the end. And whatever we need, God will provide for us in the most mysterious, craziest way. He will make sure that different things happen for us to get what we need. And we have to trust him. We have to believe it. We have to trust him fully that he will be there and provide for us everything that we need, everything that was promised and decreed. Thank you very much.